Okay, so for this video I was kind of in the flow state and I didn't talk to the camera at all, so I'm going to do a voiceover. Right now it looks like I've got a charcoal pencil and I'm going in there just doing some mark making. Now I'm going back in with a palette knife, a large palette knife. I decided to speed up the video 3x here. Palette knife work is a little bit of a slow process, especially at this stage in the painting where I step back and stare at it a lot and arrange it and balance it in my mind. A quick note on the mark making. For me personally, if you ever get stuck, just going in there with a charcoal pencil, or you can also do it with paint, and just putting it on the canvas somewhere, it will force you to spark new ideas. For me, it's always about balancing and then rebalancing. So when you add a mark somewhere, there's usually a counter mark somewhere else on the painting. If you make a mark that you don't necessarily love, you can always push it back into the background. Abstract art is definitely a process of building from the back forward. I'd say you actually know that you're finished with a painting when you're just happy with it and there's nothing that you want to counterbalance. Balancing can come in a lot of different forms. You can balance with color. So if you have too much of a dark color or a light color, you can always add the opposite color. It can come in the form of, shapes, large shapes contrasting with smaller shapes. Big details with smaller details. A large shape with a palette knife can be contrasted with the small shape of a charcoal pencil. You can get a really thin, fine line, whereas a palette knife is definitely a broad stroke. There I am going back in with a paintbrush, doing some shading and blending, which is also a technique that pushes things into the background. Blending usually allows a previous color or mark to shine through faintly, which gives the illusion of depth. I'm about to come in with some spray paint here. This is the gold spray paint I've been using throughout the process. Spray paint is one of those tools you can also learn to control with different nozzles. You can get a thinner spray or a thicker spray. How far you hold the can back from the painting makes a difference. Obviously, if you hold the spray in one spot, you can get some drips. There's all sorts of different techniques you can play around with to get different results. That's really the name of the game in abstract art, is just playing around with all the different tools, experimenting until you come up with techniques that you personally gravitate towards, and then they kind of become your own. Going back in with palette knife work. Those two stripes up in the top left corner there actually are from the very first layer, so I hadn't done much in that area. They didn't really fit with the rest of the painting at this point, so I did come in, it looks like, with the same color as them, which is the Payne's Gray. I'm trying to incorporate them. Adding some more water here. Get some drips. And then this is a technique with it's called a shop rag by the company Scott's. It's kind of like a really thick paper towel. You can do all sorts of different techniques with it as well. You can kind of roll and just pick up paint and it'll leave behind some texture. You can blend like I was just doing there. So once again, just a matter of experimenting and finding the way the tools work for you and create something that you are satisfied with and speaks to you with whatever you're trying to convey through your art. This completes part 4. Part 5 will be the completion of this painting, the final layer, coming soon.